Thursday, right? Okay. So, welcome. Thank you for taking time out to learn and to take care of yourselves and explore. Um, I personally am a huge curry fan, but I don't really cook it. So, I'm really, really excited to get dirty in the kitchen with Brooke and Megan. I'm Melissa. I'm Melissa Fabre Montalongo, and I am co-founder, CEO, and program director. So we're lots of hats for Banyan Tree Women's Collective. We are a newly formed 501c3. We totally didn't know that there would be a pandemic when we were creating a nonprofit, but yet here we are, and we are plugging through and building community. We really were shocked at how many people are joining us from actually all over the world. So, first, I would really love in the chat box if you could just tell me where you're from. That's really cool to us to hear all the different places within the Bay Area and beyond. San Carla, hi Amy. I know Amy. So it's really Philly, what's up? Vegas, Frisco. Oh, wow. Seattle. All right, Vancouver. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. So, you know, food brings people together, right? Food and music. Like, you can't go wrong with the two. Um, so, who are we? We are a small group of women who said, you know what? Everybody deserves a chance at wellness, choice, and access. Everybody should have access to wellness choice and community to fall upon. And that's what we're trying to do here. So I see some familiar names that I didn't know before we started this project. And so I consider you part of my community, and I welcome you for taking time to come and share space with us. A couple of things I just want to talk about real quick and we'll get going. Some statistics, because this is always interesting to me. Now, I know we have some non-Americans on, and I'm going to talk about American statistics. 98% of Americans prefer a home-cooked meal, but 37% eat out 3 to 5 times a week, and that was pre-COVID. So everybody's kind of forced into a different bubble now. 1 in 5 Americans only have one dish that they know how to make, that they feel confident. 1 in 3 Americans have felt extremely judged in the kitchen. And the top meals in the USA, number 1, eggs over easy. Number 2, French toast. And number 3, a sandwich. So that shines a light on some insecurity in the kitchen, fear. That whole 1 in 3 people feel judged. I find that hard to believe because I'm a person that loves to be in the kitchen and I love to explore and I like to fail because then I like to try to fix. But I totally get that a lot of people are not comfortable. And so what we aim to do is to bring practitioners like Brooke, like Megan, that make you feel safe and make you feel comfortable and empower you to step outside of your bubble and try something like cashew, quinoa, and Thai curry salmon. So we're really excited to have you here. What you will notice in the chat box is that I'm going to put a survey. And I really need for you guys to fill the survey out for me. Even if you filled it out before, fill it out for me. It's 10 questions, super quick, and it gives me an insight as if to know if I'm meeting my goals, if I'm reaching out far enough, if I'm creating a program that's helpful, if you want more of something or if you need something, that's the way for me to know. And towards the end, I'm going to share with you the next couple of events that are coming up and ways that you can help us. But right now, we're going to start cooking. So I'm going to pass it along to Megan. She's going to start this off, and let's get busy.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday night. Welcome to all of our kitchens. I think it's so cool that we have so many people from all across the globe here in so many different states and countries. It's so cool. It's blowing my mind right now. So But welcome to my kitchen here in Oakland, California. My name is Megan Knipp, and I am a holistic nutritionist and chef. And I'm here with Brooke Wilson, who is also a holistic nutritionist and chef. Brooke, Mel, and I were at the same program at Bowman College together. That's how we met. It was our nutrition program. And I remember Mel, I always admired Mel for just her knowledge of healing. And Brooke already had a leg up. Brooke was, she did the natural chef program. And I think we all were just so in awe of Brooke's knowledge of healing foods and just her abilities as a chef and just as a practitioner. So I am just so honored to be here with you all and these two women, amazing women, to teach you about foods to comfort anxiety, cooking and comforting for anxiety. Brooke and I came together to start the Food Mood Project, and this is kind of an offshoot of that, partnering with Banyan Tree Women's Collective to educate everyone about foods that support emotional balance. So today we're focusing in on anxiety. I think it's safe to say we all are experiencing an extra level of anxiety as we move through these days. And when we're talking about food to support anxiety and to support these systems that are impacted for anxiety, there are 4 areas you think about when you're thinking about cooking to support and soothe anxiety. The first one is digestion. So you all know when you're stressed, your digestion can falter. Maybe you're not digesting things as well. You'll have acid reflux, upset stomach, constipation, all of the things can happen when you're stressed. So you want foods that are easy to digest, like comforting soups and stews, a curry, cooked meats, low and slow cooked vegetables, things that are just really comforting to the belly, easy to absorb, easy to digest, easy to break down. So you're getting all of those nutrients out to support your system. And then the second system you want to think about is your adrenals. So your adrenal glands are these 2, and while I'm talking, you guys can like prep your food if you like to, but while there's 2 adrenals, they sit on top of your kidneys. They control your stress hormone cortisol. So when we are just stressed and on overdrive, our adrenals can get stressed. So think about foods to comfort the adrenals are like a warm blanket, things that are comforting, things that are nourishing, fats, protein, high mineral, high vitamin content. We're not talking about restriction. We're talking about love, a lot of nourishment. So a nourishing curry, salmon, protein, all the good stuff. The third system, energy. When you're anxious, you get depleted. Your system's depleted. I mean, think about your nervous system. It's our energy system. When your nervous system is stretched thin, your rivers have run dry. It's debilitating. So you want things that are going to boost your energy, things with lots of vitamins, again, lots of nutrients, protein, lots of protein with the salmon, the quinoa. So, and also things that are going to support your blood sugar. So you want to have a balancing meal with protein, like the salmon, healthy fat with the coconut milk, and carbs with the quinoa and all the vegetables. So that's a complete profile. Have everything. It's going to support your energy. Fourth system, then we'll get cooking, is your immune system. Who has gotten really stressed out or have had a stressful event and then gotten sick like that immediately? It's all connected. So I know everyone. So in order to support your nervous system, you got to also support your nervous system, your immune system. They're linked. So that's going to come from all of the vegetables in this curry, lots of nice and bright greens, and the mushrooms we're using. The shiitake mushrooms are great for your immune system, and the broth that we're using, lots of nutrients, lots of color to keep you healthy and happy, boost your vitality. So that's why we landed on this curry, because it's such a great representation of foods to support all of these 4 systems: your digestion, your adrenals, your energy level, blood sugar, and your immune systems. That's what you want to focus on. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to start. We're going to get going. All right. So we're going to make the quinoa first, and then I'm going to pass it over to Brooke, and then she's going to walk you through how to make the curry itself. So we're going to start with the quinoa. So if you want to gather those ingredients, and we're going to start first by making the cashews that are gonna go on the quinoa on the end. So if everyone has a pot to make the quinoa, a little quart pot, this is what I'm using. And have your coconut oil ready. So I use extra virgin, Trader Joe's organic coconut oil, whatever you want to use. And turn on your oven. Everyone's escaping to your oven. Where am I? Here. Put it on medium heat. Okay. You want to get it hot. We are going to put about a tablespoon of coconut oil just in the pot itself. Okay. At this time too, you also want to have just a little bowl ready to put the cashews in once they're done cooking. If you haven't had that, I would grab that now too. So I'm putting just a tablespoon of coconut oil. Doesn't matter if it's perfectly measured, just, you know, a spoonful into the pot. It melts, letting it hot. Now, why we like coconut oil is because actually, why we like coconut oil is because our bodies really love coconut oil. Our brains also really love coconut oil. It's easily utilized in the body. It gives us more energy. Great for the brain, especially memory. You know, it's good for supporting just overall brain function. So we love coconut oil. It should be melted about now. Mine's sticking and hot. So I'm gonna add my cashews. Okay. Now I have, this is a little hot tip too to save you a little bit of money when you're buying cashews. If you buy raw cashew pieces versus whole cashews, like Trader Joe's, they're a little bit less expensive than the whole cashews because they get broken up in the handling process. So little tip there. So I always buy raw pieces. But if you have whole cashews, just give them a quick chop, or you can do whole, whatever you prefer. I like to give them a little chop though. We're gonna measure 1/4 cup. Your coconut oil should be sizzling. And we're just gonna add it to it. I like to turn down the heat a little bit so they don't burn. Give it a little shake. Okay. And let them brown a little bit, okay? This is where you want to kind of babysit the pan. I can't tell you how many times I have burnt nuts and seeds by browning them, and then you just have to do it again. So make sure you actually pay attention at this part and look in your cashew. Not a time to walk away. So just watch. Should take just a couple minutes, if not less. I'm actually going to turn up the heat a little bit. Turning up a little bit so they brown. You want to get them a little brown so they have that nice flavor. The reason why we like to add nuts, we're using cashews in our dishes, is because it has a nice mineral content to our meals. So cashews specifically are high in copper, which is great for the energy body. It supports our energy and just our overall function. Cashews also have they're also a great source of phosphorus, magnesium, so high in minerals, also a great source of fat. Now, magnesium in particular, the reason why we like magnesium for anxiety is because magnesium calms the body. So the more food sources we can have with magnesium, the better off you'll be. Okay. My cashews are smelling delicious and they're just brown. As soon as they start to smell, as soon as you get an aroma off the pan, they're probably going to be good to go. So mine are done. So I'm turning off the oven, the heat, the stove, and I have my bowl right here. I'm actually going to grab a spoon. We're just going to put it in a little bowl. We're going to set this aside. It's going to be hot, so just be careful, okay? All right. This back on your stove. Set your cashews aside. We're done with them for a minute, for 20 minutes while your quinoa cooks. Okay. Now we're going to cook the quinoa. All right. How many people have overcooked or undercooked quinoa or burnt quinoa? Me, a lot, all the time. It's really easy to do. So if this is you today, don't worry. You can make another batch, but we're going to show you how to do it hopefully properly. Okay. So the first step in making quinoa is you want to give it a little rinse. Now, how and why. I'm going to do the how first. I already washed mine just for the sake of demonstrating, but if you want to, you can go put it in a strainer, a fine mesh strainer, and measure on a cup. We're using a cup of quinoa for 4 servings. And you want to give it a wash and kind of swish it around as you put it under the water. The reason why we like to give quinoa a rinse, a really thorough rinse, is because quinoa has something called saponin in it, which is a compound that makes it that gives it a really bitter flavor, and it also, our bodies don't particularly like it. So the more you run it under the water, and it has kind of a soapy consistency, like if you swish it around, you might see some soapy like bubbles. You're getting out all that saponin. It's going to make it easier to digest. So oftentimes people have a hard time with quinoa because they're skipping this step. So give it a good swish. I already did it, so this is already good to go. And yeah, once you have it washed, we are actually set it aside. I skipped a step. I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay, first we're gonna add a little bit of, we're just going to put some spices in the pan first, and then we're gonna put the quinoa in. I'm so sorry, I skipped a step. Okay, so have the same pan you used to cook the cashews on, okay? Same pan. It's okay if it has a little cashew flavor. That's all good. It's just going to add to the flavor of the quinoa, okay? And it still has some coconut oil residue in there, which is good too. So I'm going to turn my stove back on about medium heat, and we're going to add our herbs and our spices. So we have a mix here of turmeric, cumin, mustard seed, and coriander. So these spices are good because they support the immune system. They help calm the body. They help cool inflammation. Turmeric, especially, the more meals you can sneak turmeric into, the happier your body will be. Our bodies love turmeric. It's very cooling to the system. So it's going to support your immune system, your energy body, digestion, detox, all of those things. Turmeric is wonderful. So we have our stove. We're going to add our spices. Not too long, just 20, 30 seconds, okay? You don't want to burn them. You just want to release their aroma. That's the purpose of this, so they add more flavor to the quinoa. All right. So now I'm going to add the quinoa. Add your quinoa to the pan. Turn off your stove so your spices don't burn while you grab your quinoa. You can do that, okay? And then I'm going to add your broth or water. I'm using broth. Okay.
So, Brooke, I'm sorry, Megan. Brooke, maybe you want to hop on the chat and answer some questions?
Sure. Oh, nice.
I've been answering them, but I think it'd be good for Brooke to jump in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm happy we're doing this as a team. We can do it together. So while you want to give your quinoa, just blend it in. Okay, give your quinoa a stir, okay, with the water, and then we're gonna bring that to a boil. Should take a couple minutes. While we're doing that, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about why broth versus water. I like to use broth when I'm making grains because it adds more minerals and more flavor to the grain. So it makes it taste better and it's a little bit better for you. Now, if you are going to use broth, you can use homemade broth. I'm using a homemade vegetable seaweed broth that I really like. You can use any broth you want. It's all good. If you're using store-bought broth, I like to go low sodium. So you can have a little bit more control over the sodium content in your food, and then you can just add more salt if it needs more salt. So yeah, water is fine too if you don't have broth. Totally cool. Anyone will do. All right.
And there's some questions about the mustard seeds, and I know Brooke had responded in the chat, but I know people are also cooking about that. The more spice, the better.
Yeah, so with the mustard seeds, you don't have to put these spices in if you don't particularly like one or all of them. It's just adding more flavor. With the mustard seed, you don't need to add it if you don't want to. What was the specific question?
Because you hadn't mentioned the mustard seed.
Yeah, you can put the mustard seed in too. That's a part of the spices. Sorry about that. Yeah. All right.
TV. It's live TV.
It's live, you guys.
It can happen.
Yeah. The quinoa is boiling, so I am going to cover it. Okay, and you're just going to turn it down to low, your low setting. And then I'm going to set my timer to 20 minutes, okay? So everyone do that. Done. Now, if you don't like quinoa, if you're making this with another grain, certainly you can make it with rice. You could put it over rice. I know not everyone likes or tolerates quinoa. The reason why we like quinoa is because it's a complete protein. It's it's actually not a grain, it's a seed. So it is a complete protein, which is nice if you're a vegetarian. It adds a little protein to your meals. And remember, protein is a star ingredient in supporting, a star macronutrient in supporting the nervous system. So you really want to make sure you're getting a lot of protein in your meals. So quinoa is a great option. You can, of course, do rice. If you don't do grains, you could do cauliflower rice. If you don't like cauliflower, you could just have the curry on its own. But I think it would be really good too over like a baked sweet potato or a baked squash or pumpkin like that, something hearty and starchy to give you that carb, to give you that comfort. That would be really good this season too. So just giving you some options. Now, in the meantime, while the quinoa is cooking, I'm going to show you one more step, and then I'm going to pass it over to Brooke, and she's going to walk you through making the curry. But you can prep your green onions, which you're going to add to the quinoa once it's done, once it's stopped cooking after this 20 minutes. So I have mine washed and ready right here. I like to use the whole green onion. Now, if you have trouble digesting onions, even green onions, just use the green tips, that's fine. But if you add the whole, it's better, just so you know. Green tips are a little bit easier on the digestive system. Now I'm gonna do the whole thing because I like the white part too. So I like to start at the root. You just wanna cut off the tip, set that aside. And then I'm gonna do mine thin, but you can do them chopped however you want. I'm just gonna do mine just make sure when you're chopping, you tuck your fingers in so you're practicing safe knife skills, okay? Tuck it in like you're making a little like kitten ball. I guess you know, tuck it in, just travel down the stalk. You can go as slow as you want. You don't have to be quick with it. Okay. We love green onion because it supports the immune system. It supports detox. All onions, all alliums, garlic, onions, so good for the immune system. So anywhere where you can add a little green onion to, it's gonna be good. I pretty much put it on everything. Cool. And then if you have your bowl of cashews, you can just add the green onion right on top of the cashews because when your quinoa is done, you can just dump the cashew and the green onion into the quinoa when it's done cooking and you're good to go. Add some salt. We'll come back to that part once Brooke's done. So.
And people are asking about the amount of spices that make it healing. And you and Brooke and I were all taught the same way about spices. So I will let you speak about healing spices.
Yeah. So the more spice so with culinary spices, if you're having a little bit, it's going to add flavor. But when we're talking about building nourishment and building nourishing meals, everything compounds on itself. So even a little bit of turmeric here and there adds up. So even by adding just a little bit, you're still supporting your health in the long term. Now with turmeric specifically, turmeric is a COX-2 inhibitor. It's 1-for-1 like Advil in the body. It helps reduce inflammation. Now, of course, you need to eat maybe, I think it's about 2 teaspoons of turmeric to have a similar effect of taking about 2 Advil. So that would come from a more therapeutic use of having like a cup of golden milk or having a really turmeric-rich curry. So you're still going to get the benefit of turmeric by adding just, I think we're doing a 1/4 teaspoon. You're still going to get the benefit. But if you're seeking true in the moment anti-inflammatory properties, like you have an ache and pain, you're menstruating, you have, you really want to cool the body down that same moment, that day, I would go for a cup of golden milk or something like that. If you're not familiar, you could Google search, but if maybe we can talk a little bit more about that at the end if we have time. I want to leave time for this curry making. So hope that answered your question. We're done making the quinoa. We're going to pass it over to Brooke, and she's going to tell you how to make this wonderful curry.
Okay. Okay. Can everyone hear me? Hi, everyone. So it's very nice to be here. My name is Brooke. I first wanted to say that part of cooking for anxiety is like shifting the way you think about cooking even. So a lot of people, they talk to me and they say like, cooking really stresses me out, like it's too much, and it can be. So I encourage you to take on recipes, one, that make you happy and you're excited about, because being joyful and happy about it is going to make it fun, and we want to make cooking fun. And anything fun is automatically going to lower anxiety. So I also tell people, they're very worried about like messing it up. The only way you're truly going to mess up something that you're cooking, this is not talking about baking, but we're talking about cooking, is burning it. Other than burning it, there's like fixes and things you can do to bring it back to life. So we're just going to like be really chilled out about this. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And that's what's so great about a curry, is you can kind of like do your own thing and it's going to turn out great. So this is going to be fun. So we're making a Thai coconut curry. This is going to go on top of that quinoa rice, that quinoa. And actually my quinoa is kind of like going crazy over there. Okay. So let's see, you should have prepped the onion, which just means chopping it. You can chop it however you want. Chopped the broccoli or cauliflower. You might have one or the other. And your mushrooms. So those are the 3 things. If you haven't done that yet, no problem. Just start chopping while I'm talking and we'll get those going. And you can also, you'll get this recipe, like you can refer back, but you can also throw that stuff in at the end and it's going to be fine. But I'm going to start. I didn't want to have like the camera going back and forth, so I have a burner just set up here. While this is warming, I'm going to warm this up on medium heat. I'm going to add coconut oil. So same as we did with quinoa, you're just going to add from that same coconut oil, I don't know, like a tablespoon or so, maybe 2, just enough to start to saute the vegetables, because that's what we're going to do first. So while that is heating, and it's still pretty hot because I was cooking the quinoa, so I'm just going to let that melt. So I'm using a saute pan. If you don't have this, you can use any kind of like soup pot, anything, as long as it just fits the amount of food that you're making. I'm going to set this over here. Okay. So we are going to first, once this is warm, we're going to grab our onions. So the onions, what's so great about onions, the humble onion, they're actually very nutritious. There's a ton of nutrition in here. I bet you didn't know there is vitamin C in an onion. There's also sulfur-containing compounds, which has been found to be anti-cancer. supportive. There's all kinds of vitamins and minerals in here. So never underestimate an onion and adding it to something, because you're adding a lot of nutrition. So I'm just gonna put these in this warmed pan. You can hear it sizzle. I cut mine into half moons, but you can cut it however you want. You can chop it into little pieces. You just wanna make sure it's spread out. Onion provides a base of flavor to things. I'm seeing chats pop up, but I can't read them. So maybe, I don't know if Megan could jump in, or Mel, if there's a question I need to answer.
Yeah, I'm responding to some, but yeah, if Megan can jump in, that'd be great.
Okay, so we're just gonna let these onions cook. I feel like onions should always go in first. They kind of take the longest to cook. They're building that flavor. And something I always do is I salt in layers. So salt is really important to flavor, but of course you do not want to overdo it, because like anything, there is such thing as too much. So I have this little salt cellar, but you can use a little shaker. You're just gonna add a tiny little bit. You're gonna add it, and we're gonna keep adding just pinches of salt as we go. I'm actually also gonna add a little bit of pepper. And I might veer from the recipe a little, just because why not? But use what you have. Use what smells good. You should be smelling this by now. For the sake of time, I chopped up my mushrooms. So here is a note. They didn't have shiitakes at the store when I went. And in fact, they didn't have any wild mushrooms. And I imagine that's true for a lot of people, depending on where you shop. So I used just cremini mushrooms, and that's perfectly fine. It's great. They're also more affordable. But the great thing about shiitakes, and I'm adding this now, is they have this really immune boosting qualities to it. Mushrooms are known in general for being immune boosting, and we can all definitely use that right now. But it's really about inflammation and reducing inflammation. So it's like the chicken and the egg. What came first, anxiety or inflammation? Did the inflammation happen and then we felt more anxiety, or did the anxiety happen and kind of inflame our body? Because research shows anxiety often is linked with inflammation. And if you lower inflammation in your body, you might not eliminate anxiety. I mean, there's a lot of factors for that, but you can certainly help ease it. So veggies of all types, all vegetables are anti-inflammatory. So I encourage you to get as many veggies in there as possible. Okay, so while that cooks, I am going to prep. I've got my flavor items. I've got ginger, I've got garlic, cloves, and I've got lemongrass. So lemongrass is kind of fun. So lemongrass is really high in B vitamins, actually, and B vitamins have been shown to be very helpful for anxiety support. So get those B vitamins. So this can also, you're only gonna we're gonna chop up this like last 3 inches at the end of the stalk. And what you need to do to release that flavor is smash it. So it's kind of fun. You can get out some aggression. I'm going to hit this against the counter, and I encourage all of you guys to do that. If you have lemongrass, if you don't have lemongrass, skip it. It's hard to find, and it's not going to make. It's just going to be a different flavor, but it's still going to be good if you don't have it. So I'm just gonna, hit this on the counter. Okay, so I'm gonna chop off. Chop off that end. I'm going to chop off the other end. It's tough. And you want to peel off these like tougher layers, because you're really going to want to get to the inside of it, because that's what we're looking for. So I'm just going to peel it. Oh, I need to chop off the end more. Here we go. We're going to want those inner layers. Like I said, also it was interesting. I was doing research, and Lemongrass also has a lot of folate in it. And that surprised me. So basically, I'm just gonna kind of like chop this into little pieces. So I don't know if a chef's knife is really helpful here. I do like a pinch grip. Make sure you know where your fingers are. I don't need any accidents. Use like the claw grip. And just chop this up. If you don't feel like chopping this, you can also add it whole to your stew and then take and let it simmer and the flavors infuse and then take it out at the end. So that's an option too. So I'm just gonna kind of like chop this into smaller pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna put this aside, continue to chop. But for the sake of time, I'm gonna now I'm gonna do my ginger. So I'm gonna put my lemongrass here. I would go finer with that if you have time. So ginger has this like outer skin. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off the piece I need. If you like ginger, maybe use a couple inches. If you don't really like ginger, you can leave it out. But ginger, I'm going to I cut off a piece and now I'm going to peel it. Because you don't really want the skin. In the meantime, check this. Make sure it's cooking. Okay, it should be smelling good right now. So I'm peeling this ginger. So Megan talked about digestion, and ginger is incredibly healing for digestion. So we've all been there when we're anxious. Our stomachs, they get messed up, to say the least. And so ginger is really nice to add to dishes because it soothes digestion. In fact, it's been shown to be just as powerful as some medications, anti-nausea. It's good for pain, any kind of stomach pain. Very soothing. And I'm just gonna chop this up. And I also wanted to show, if you don't feel like chopping it, I've got like a little grater, like a little microplane grater, but you can also use even a cheese grater on the smallest holes you can use. But if you feel like it, you can always grate ginger too. And you're just gonna this causes it to be very small, which is nice when you're sauteing it. I personally, let me take that out. I'm a fan of chopping it. I sometimes like having those bigger pieces because I personally really like ginger. And ginger is incredibly anti-inflammatory. So again, inflammation and anxiety are all often linked. So why not have as many anti-inflammatory foods as possible? So this is bigger. You want it smaller, I highly recommend grating it and continuing to grate it. And then our last really powerful healing flavor enhancer is garlic. So I've got 4 cloves. Here's what I do. I put my knife on it, blade side pointing down. I put my palm with my hands up and I press. Put my weight into it, it crushes it. And then you can just peel off the skin. So, looks like that. I'm gonna do that for all 4 cloves. So garlic is basically one of the oldest forms of medicine. So garlic has been shown to be antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal. It heals literally everything. But I would like to note it is easy to overdo garlic, especially raw garlic, because it is quite powerful. And if you do too much of it, it can potentially upset your stomach. I've had that happen. I'm like, this is so powerful. I'm going to take as much as possible. Nope, a little bit goes a long way. Same with the spices. You don't need to have a ton of these very healing foods. So I just peel them. And again, you can use a grater, and this would be a great option. Some people have the garlic presses. Go for it. I'm kind of old school, and I chop. So I'm going to chop this up, and I'm going to mince this. And all of these things are going to add not only medicinal qualities, but amazing, amazing flavor. These are, and what we're doing here is we're just going to build this flavor. So I'm going to put my knife here so you can see. We've got everything. We've got, these mushrooms are looking pretty cooked. I'm going to go ahead and I think everyone should add their broccoli or cauliflower if you have, or any other vegetable you have. So I have my chopped. I chopped it really small because I like it when it cooks faster, and I like smaller veggies, but you can do whatever you like. Cauliflower and broccoli are in the cruciferous family of vegetables, to stir that. And cruciferous vegetables are something that we should all be trying to get into our diet daily. They're incredibly healing. Cruciferous includes, let's see, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, kale, collards, which we're going to use, broccoli, cauliflower, all of those things. They are incredibly powerful. They contain all kinds of nutrients. There is, and you know what the biggest thing for cruciferous and a lot of these ingredients is fiber. So fiber is not glamorous. No one's like, oh, the superfood of fiber. But it really should be considered a superfood, because the link between high fiber diets and reduction of anxiety is scientifically proven. There have been a lot of studies where high fiber diets have reduced and helped people reduce their levels of anxiety. And so, like, that's enough info for me. Here's some salt. We're going to add another little layer, not a lot because you don't want to oversalt it. And we're also going to add, let's go ahead and do the garlic. We're going to do the ginger, and we're going to do the lemongrass. We're going to do it all. So anyways, fiber supports a healthy gut because it feeds the healthy bacteria in your gut. And as Megan said, the gut is directly linked to your brain and your nervous system. And so having those healthy bacteria and those healthy guys are gonna, like, there's like a super highway, like communication, and the gut's often called the second brain. And it's because they're so intricately linked. And so we want to feed those bacteria. It also just helps, it's kind of like the broom of the intestines. It kind of sweeps it clean, and it keeps our bodies moving. It keeps things going. It's really, really important to get that fiber. So the garlic and ginger and lemongrass are in. They do not have to cook very long. We're talking like a minute. And once you can smell them, you know that they're doing it. That's all you need is to smell them. You don't have to let them simmer for very long. In fact, garlic will burn, so you have to be careful. Okay. So the big flavor boost here is I opted for Thai Kitchen red curry paste. This is one of my favorite shortcuts. You can also use curry powder. So curry powder would be great. And curry powder is a mix of spices. So we're talking about all these healing spices and how anti-inflammatory, and a lot of them help with digestion. A lot of the spices that are in curry powders or in curry paste are very healing. So that's why we wanted to do this. You have to be careful if you're a spice, like you like things spicy. Some curry powders are quite spicy, and then some are very mild and won't add any spice at all. So this, you have to read the ingredients, make sure they're clean. Just has spices, garlic, lemongrass, salt, shallot, coriander root, and beard lime peel. That's it. There's no additives or sugar. That's why I really love this one. It also has like 3 peppers, meaning it's hot. So I encourage you to actually taste it. And I opened it and I tasted it. Just taste it as is. It wasn't actually hot. And so that's the thing with peppers. You really gotta taste it before you just like assume that it's gonna be hot or not hot. So taste it first, because different batches might have different levels of heat. This one was quite mild. And I'm gonna add, the recipe says 3 tablespoons. So I'm gonna add, I'm not gonna measure, I'm just using a regular spoon. And I'm being generous because you can be generous with this stuff. And I'm just going to.
I'm sorry, Brooke, we have a question that came to me privately, but said, should we add the kale if they're using kale?
Not yet. We're getting there. Okay. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing the sizzling. So mix that curry powder in. Okay, we're good. Now, to make sure, this is the time when we add our coconut milk, and it's the optional fish sauce. So I have Trader Joe's coconut milk. I really love this kind. There's all kinds of good coconut milk out there. You should just read the ingredients, and it should be basically just coconut milk. It shouldn't have any sugar or anything added. Fish sauce is an optional item. It has like a lot of depth, and fish sauce can sound like, I don't know if I want to add that, but it's very, you just add a tiny bit, and it really adds like a depth of flavor. It can be expensive, and you want to make sure you get a clean version. I like Red Boat, but it literally lasts forever. It doesn't go bad. It's fermented fish, basically. So it's got, it's like one of those foods that takes forever to make and stays good. So I'm going to add my coconut milk. I have 2 cans of it. This is going to be, this coconut milk is making this extremely rich because it is high in fats, and fats are good, but we don't need to eat, like our portions should be, I'm pouring 2, moderate. We don't need a huge portion of this. Like a nice small bowl with the quinoa, and then like a nice amount of this is going to be amazing. And it will also be very filling and very grounding. So this is just I'm gonna let this simmer. Everything's gonna cook. It should be like, I think you can see it. It should be like a light red. If you want to add more curry paste, you certainly can. I'm gonna add a pinch of salt. Just a little. This is coming back up. And this is where my splash of fish sauce is happening. So I'm not gonna measure, I'm just gonna do a tiny bit. Done. Like barely any. But you can skip that if you don't want it. It's not a big deal. So this is a bit watery. I like it that way because I want it more like soupy. If you tend to not like that, you can just use 1 can of coconut milk and make it more stewish, and that's totally up to you. So all of those are cooking. I'm going to show you, someone had a question about greens. We're gonna do our greens. I've got to kind of clean this up a little. Hold on. I need a clean cutting board.
While Brooke's doing that, I'll say if your quinoa is probably finishing up right now, if it hasn't already. So once the buzzer goes off, you can just turn off the heat of the quinoa and check it. If it feels like it's either, maybe it needs more time, you can always leave it to steam. Just leave the cap on, or you can take the lid off and just fluff it up with a fork and just set it aside off the heat. And we'll get back to it once we're done the curry.
Perfect. Thanks, Megan. Okay, so if you have greens and you're adding this is the time when we're gonna cut. So I actually am adding collard greens. So, you know, a lot of us don't know what to do with collard greens. And so this is something great. They're very hearty, so they stand up in soups and stews really well. So what I'm gonna do is I have 2 leaves. I'm basically gonna fold it over. I'm gonna place it on the cutting board and I'm gonna cut that stem carefully out of it. You can do that with, same with kale. You're gonna cut that stem, and with kale, you can often just like, not with collards as much, but you can just take the stem and like pull them off. Or you can lay it flat and just cut the stem out. But the stem, I don't really like to eat the stem of the, so then I just fold it in half and I stack them. You can use as many leaves as you want, and I roll it up into a little like collard egg roll. And then claw grip, make sure you know where your fingers are. You're gonna slice it into thin strips. So the greens are like Mother Nature's multivitamin. We should be getting as much of these as possible. Full of magnesium, which Megan says is a relaxation mineral, in addition to B vitamins, all kinds of things. The collards actually have calcium in them, so that's great. And then I just kind of turn them the other way and chop them. I'm gonna put those to the side. If you have kale, collards, spinach, bok choy, whatever, we're gonna put that in last. In the meantime, I'm gonna turn this up because I need it to keep going. And then we're gonna cut, also considered greens, in my opinion, are my fresh herbs. So I have some fresh basil and I have some fresh cilantro, and I'm gonna be really generous with these. These are really, I don't like to put them and let them stew in anything. I like to put them on at the very end. But with cilantro, it's an incredible detoxification. So you can add as much of this. I use the stems, so I'm just gonna chop a little bit of that up. And then I just pull the leaves off of the basil and then throw those in at the very end, or maybe even just garnish. Sometimes I like the freshness and I'll just put it at the top, but I'll cut it all up and put it in the fridge. And that way, when I warm this up, say tomorrow, I have these fresh herbs to put on top. So I'm just gonna cut those really roughly. When I get down to the stems, I cut it more finely, but I don't really do, I love cilantro. And some people don't love cilantro. I know Mel can't do cilantro. So just leave that out. And then just kind of roughly pull these basil leaves off. And again, these are like great. These are greens. These are providing incredible amounts of nutrients to your dishes. And so I encourage you and save money by, you know, growing these in your windowsill. And to save time, I'm probably going to chop all of that, but grow these. And I roughly chop this too. You can chop it more finely if you want, but I love basil. So I'm just gonna add it as is. Okay, so we got collards, basil, cilantro. Last but not least, we have got the salmon. So here's a note about salmon. Salmon is incredibly healing of a food. The gold standard of salmon is, of course, like wild caught Alaskan salmon, but that is incredibly expensive as well. It's often not in our budgets to do that. This time of season, you're probably you can also get frozen and thawed. Most comes frozen and thawed when you buy it at the store. If salmon is not really in your budget, no big deal at all. You can always get a different kind of fish, and we can talk about that after this as well. But I really do like, I think cod can be really nice in this, or I really love, salmon is like, it's got omega-3 fatty acids, which have been shown to really decrease anxiety and support reducing inflammation in the body. So that is incredibly important. And also vitamin D is really hard to find in a lot of foods, and vitamin D is very much linked with anxiety and low vitamin D levels and higher anxiety, and salmon actually does contain that. So it's up in the air. You know, you hear you're not supposed to eat farm salmon, they're not fed the proper diet, therefore they're not as healthy. And that's really it. You really have to find the source, because that's not always true. It depends where they're sourced, where they're farmed, and what they were fed. And so that's really the information you have to dig for and understand a little bit more about. But wild salmon, of course, top. Then farm salmon, depending on how it was raised and what it was fed. And then some vegetarian options. I mean, chickpeas are delicious in this. I love tofu in this. There, you could add, if you're into other meats, you could add chicken, you could add turkey, you can literally add anything. But I already cut this. If you haven't cut your salmon, you have the option of leaving it whole, or you can cut it. Taking the skin off I would take the skin off for this, but you can do it if it's too hard to get it off, just like while it's raw. You can always just cook it with the skin on, and then simply like take off the skin when you are done. I cut this into 4 pieces, and I am just going to lay this. This is called poaching. So cooking any fish in water in a light, you're gonna make sure this is just simmering. You don't want this being at a full out boil. So just set that. You can do this as a whole fillet. You can do this in small pieces. I cut mine into 4 because a pound makes like 4 really nice servings. Okay, so this is only going to take about 5 minutes. In that meantime, throw your greens in. Throw your kale. Don't throw your herbs, just if you have any greens. If you have spinach, I would wait till the very end to throw that in, because it's a little bit more delicate. So the greens are simmering. The salmon is simmering. I'm gonna set my timer for 5 minutes, because you can really, this will be done very quickly. It won't take much time at all. If it's a thicker piece of salmon, of course, it might take longer. So you're just gonna have to wait and see. But it should just like cut through really nicely. If you're not sure, just like kind of cut through. It should be cooked through a light pink, not that dark raw meat pink, and you'll know it's done. And yeah, so I want to wrap up because I want to be aware of everyone's time. I hope you're in the kitchen having a good time. And when you serve this, you just, like you said, put a little quinoa, put a little of the curry and all the vegetables, a little bit, and 1 piece of salmon, and then just top it with all kinds of herbs. And it's going to be amazing. Oh, and one more thing, lime. So the only thing that is missing is some lime juice. So at the very end, I'm not going to do this right now, but I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of lime, and I'm going to taste test it. And if I love the way it's flavored, great. And if not, maybe I add more lime, maybe I add a pinch of salt, and we should be good to go. So Mel, if you want to.
We're doing pretty good on time. So maybe as we are letting this finish its process, you said about 5 minutes, we can then plate the food, because I think everybody wants to see it through the end on how it's going to be plated.
Definitely.
We have a question about what about the quinoa, so I think we'll plate in just a second. But yeah, we're doing great on time. So if you guys want to, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna jump in real quick. So what you're gonna see right here in the chat, once again, not to be a broken record, is a link to the survey. I am giving away a $25 Trader Joe's gift card to every well, not to everyone, I got to rephrase this. Do the survey, and I'm going to do a raffle to give the gift card away. So once again, the raffle really helps Banyan know that we are meeting the community's needs, and also, what we want to know where you're from. We want to know about you. So if you could take a moment, just click on that link. That's great. Another thing that I'd like to add is we are posting our December events, but we do have 2 of the December events already up, and they are filling up. We will have Brooke back again with us. Do you want to talk quickly about what you're going to teach on December 5th?
Sure. So I'm teaching a class that's focused on the holidays and it's focused on cooking. So it's called Holiday Deliciousness, and it's classics with a healing twist for your holiday table. So we're going to be I created a recipe book for it with 6 recipes. And if you were to make all 6 recipes, that would be like a full holiday dinner. But I'm only going to, it's a cook along, and we're going to make 2 recipes. We're going to make a buttery sage roasted chicken with lemon garlic sauce, and we're going to make a roasted garlic cauliflower mash. And then I'm also going to do a demo on how I cut and prep kale for a kale salad. So that sounds going to be really great. Join.
Sounds so good. So we do have quite a few events coming up. The best way for you to know is to sign up for our updates. You go to banyanwomen.org, sign up to keep in the know. I'm about to pass it back to Megan, and we're going to plate this, and hopefully we're all going to eat really well tonight. I would love, love, love to hear from you guys about how your meal was, how you felt after, just to hear from you. So you can email me directly anytime at Melissa, MELISSA @banyanwomen.org. And then if you feel that we are doing the community a service, you feel a part of this, if you have any abilities to donate $5, $10, $1, I'm adding the direct link to donate on our page. We greatly appreciate it. All the funds go right back into creating more programming and hiring practitioners like Brooke and Megan. All right, I'm going to work on my food. Megan, do you want to take it away from me?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Okay. So if you have your quinoa, it should be done. When you take it off, you want to give it a fluff. It should be nice and fluffy, nice and well steamed. Tastes so good. I just gave mine a little taste. And then you want to add okay, cool, I'm back spotlighted.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Good. All right. So we have your quinoa. This is what mine looks like. You can go ahead and add your cashews, add the green onion. It also now would be the time to salt it. So add a big hit of salt, taste it. Taste your food. See if it needs a little bit more. I probably will put a little black pepper in mine too, but it's so good, you guys. And I love making the quinoa with the added spice because it just adds a little bit more flavor and a little bit more oomph. So, like I said, anywhere you can get some spices, so good. So, yeah, you made the quinoa. It's all good. My curry is still cooking. I think the salmon is just about done. The good thing with salmon is as long as you get it medium rare, it's good to go. You don't need to overcook the salmon. It should be, just pink through. If you want to cook it through, all good. But if it's slightly still a little pink in the middle, that's fine. If it's medium rare, it should be good to go, especially if it's good quality. Mine's done. So I'm going to grab, we need to add, I think the cilantro is left and the lemon juice. So I'm going to go ahead. This is the last step. I put my curry to the back burner because it was bubbling a little bit too much. I wanted to give it a little break. So it's still cooking on low. I'm going to add my cilantro now because this is the last step if you're done, if you're ready to go.
So we're seeing posts like my quinoa is delicious, and then I have a question. I might have missed it because I'm trying to moderate and cook. Um, when did the basil go in?
Basil went in with the greens.
Okay.
No, the basil is a garnish.
Okay, the basil is a garnish. All right.
Brooke, are we ready to plate? How's yours coming?
I am plating as we speak. I have it to show.
Yum.
Whoa, I just spilled it. I was trying to tilt it, but I tasted it. I added lime. That's really important. Add the lime. And I added the basil and the cilantro. And I actually had a jalapeno in my fridge. So I sliced it super thin. That's completely optional. That was not listed on the ingredients. And I also have some yogurt, and I was thinking of putting a tiny bit on there for a little bit of probiotics. But guys, this is good.
It looks.
Yeah, good.
Ooh.
If you ask me.
Yum, yum. I'm going to do the yogurt too. I have some yogurt. I have some coconut yogurt in my fridge too. Coconut yogurt go really well on that too. Yeah, and a little hit of lime. Yum, Brooke. Yum, yum, yum.
So I've given everybody the permission to unmute themselves. If you have any specific questions and you want to talk on to either one of them, please do so. I've given you permission to unmute. See,
I
lots
have
of
a
gratitude.
request, Melissa.
Mhm.
Is there a possibility to have a record of it sent to us? It just during the time that the cooking, I had a friend coming to visit me and I missed the first part. And it's
Yeah.
really, I want to comment that I never knew that you have to roll the big leaf and cut the center of the leaf and chop it. I never thought of that. And it just, I think it just amazing to see skillful people and everything.
Well, thank
So it
you.
just,
So I
this
think
is my,
the part of Brooke and Megan's thank you to everyone was, did I hear rumor of a PDF? Yeah, recipes.
Yeah, we created a mini recipe book, and it has these 2 recipes in addition to several others. And you'll be getting that in an email from Mel after this class. So you'll be able to have everything in an ebook.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. So you'll have the ebook. We will have a link, and I actually did record it. So I'm happy if you need to, Miss Sandra.
yes, I just
I see you,
missed.
Sandra. Hey, yes, and the ebook will go step by step as well. So I know it's some of these ingredients are not ingredients that people are used to cooking with. So it's a lot to take in right now. And I think I can also speak on behalf of Brooke and Megan that their information will also be in the thank you email. And these 2 women are so helpful and gracious. So you can also email them with questions once you get the ebook, if you feel like you still have questions, if it's not clear. Is that fair to say, ladies?
Definitely. If you have questions about anything we made or any of the ingredients or any of the directions, just reach out.
Right, right.
So if you guys need any support with, nutrition anxiety, we're here to help you there as well. So we're here.
Right, and something I think that was interesting to me is, as I am, being fully transparent here, is I'm getting my butt kicked by menopause, and all of these things that you're introducing are foods that assist with menopause, and especially with the fiber helping to support flush out and keep the hormones in balance. So I thank you guys. I think what you've taught us is not just about anxiety. It's overall brain health, immunity. Like we can go on and on and on. And I think just don't be scared to be in the kitchen, guys. The very worst is you can make a mistake, and then you'll figure a way to fix it, and it'll be okay. I really feel fortunate to have had you guys teach us tonight. So thank you so much. please, everyone, stay in contact. Follow us on IG, follow us on social media, reach out to us. We will get that ebook out to you so you can keep cooking. And we want to hear other recipes. You cook them and you love them, let us know. Any last words for us, ladies?
Yes, I was going to say, send us your photos, tag your photos. If you have your tag Bunyan Women, tag Summertime Wellness. That's Brooke. I'm Megan Knit Nutrition. Those are our handles. Show the world your creations. Be proud of the meal you made tonight. So fun being here. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you all. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Once again, it takes a village, and we're all on this path to wellness. Everybody's path looks different, and we should all hold space for each other as we navigate and learn what works for us and what doesn't work for us. Cilantro does not work for me, never will. But you know what? They taught me a way around that, and honestly, we're sitting here dying to eat this recipe. So I hope everybody has a blessed night. I hope that you stay super healthy, and we hope to see you again, maybe on December 5th with Brooke, so we can cook some more. Yeah? Okay. All right, guys. Take care, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Good job, Brooke.
Thank
Good job
you.
again. Bye, Miss Sandra.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
We hope to see you on the 5th.
Okay.
Great job, you guys. Thank you all.
Where do you live?
Huh?
Where do you live?
I live in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, you're the Vegas
Yeah.
one. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I have to tell my sister about you guys. She's in Oakland. My sister's in Oakland.
Oh, yeah,
So
please.
I have to
please.
tell her about
Yeah,
you guys.
tell everybody that you can, and thank you for taking the time to come and share space with us.
Okay, I look
Appreciate
forward to it.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Good job, guys. You guys did really good.
Thank you.
That was nice. Candy's like dying to eat this recipe. Oh, Em! Hey! Oh my gosh, you're muted. Unmute yourself.
You're muted.
Unmute yourself. Stop pretending to be shy.
Hey guys! Sorry, I thought I was
Hi.
talking to you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. I just came in to support. I'm cooking my own dinner, but I came to support you guys. It was great. So exciting to see you guys cooking. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was fun. That recipe.
Yeah.
So good to see you.
I'll try your recipe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Mel. Thanks.
Yes, that was really, really good.
Are
Really.
you happy? You think everyone
Yeah, I think it was nice
into
to see
it?
people cooking and navigating the kitchen or taking notes. It'll be great if we can end up seeing some videos from people or tagged on IG, and if anybody reaches out. Yeah, it was good. Your lighting was good. I really like your hot plate action there. I'm gonna have to get one of those now, watching you.
I have two. I have one that's like a burner with this one is electric, but I have one that's actually got like a canister, and I highly recommend getting one of those. And it has the flame.
Oh.
I just don't be moved, and I didn't want to move like flammable items.
Right.
I just need to get it, but it's the best burner. I can send you the one I like information about the
Let
one.
me know what it is. Let me know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super fun. I'm gonna work with Jamie to get the thank you out and the ebook out. And Megan, I know I don't want to talk to you sometime this week about something for January, February, and then Brooke, I sent you a message about Valentine's Day cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, and then holiday deliciousness. You keep getting people signing up, and I'm really excited now to know that we're gonna do a whole chicken.
We're doing a whole chicken. We're like going there. Yeah.
Going there. That's cool. That's cool. All right, ladies, we're gonna go gobble down this food. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.